I'm going to show you is called Kara Cam.
I am well versed in the fighting game space, and I don't think I really need to prove that to you guys. You guys understand where I'm coming from. This guy, EO, talks about being in the fighting game space as it is some type of accolade or medal, and he wants to be known as a cool fighting game guy that knows a lot about fighting games and wants to use his knowledge to represent towards Zenless Zone Zero or even Wuthering Waves. And why do I say it this way? It's because a lot of terminology that you use inside of a fighting game, I think I've told you guys, I've talked with you guys about fighting game terminology, and then once I began to tell you guys, I would tell you guys the term, explain what it meant to you guys, and then from there I would proceed to never use the term again. I would only tell you guys what you would be doing, because it is not general communication for me to use terminology in that way. You guys that watch me aren't fighting game players in most cases, and if you guys turn on a fighting game, it's because of my suggestion. And when you turn on a fighting game and you play it, you may play long enough in order to get to the point of where you are doing the technique that I talked about, but you would not ever understand it from the technique name. Technique names in fighting games are essentially, or in any space that you can go to technically, but any space that you go to are literally within the inner circle of people. They refer to it as this, but the moment you step outside of that circle, you have to explain it to somebody. Even if we go down to the nitty gritty of speed running in certain games, they have certain skips and glitches and things that they do. They call them, frankly, weird, extravagant names like BLJ. And people are like, what the hell is a BLJ? And Mario 64 is a backwards long jump. And you're like thinking a backwards long jump is kinda like, okay, backwards long jump, but that still doesn't explain the technique to you, what you're doing. You're doing a long jump with Mario because it's in the technique name, but backwards, how the hell do you do it backwards? So technique names don't exactly describe what the technique is without being within the inner circle of whatever it is that we're talking about, whether it be Super Mario 64 example like I gave you there, and so on in fighting games. EO is using these fighting game terms within Zenless Zone Zero, and this discussion has kind of come up in multiple ways because he's the one that's been mainly making some Zenless Zone Zero content as being one of the gacha space content creators. The guy's not a small content creator at all. Great shout outs to him. I hope he keeps doing well, but I hope he really understands from all of this talk that people have been doing on these subjects, or on this subject that he brought up. I hope he begins to understand what people are saying when it sounds like you're just trying to be the smartest guy in the room for no reason. From the content that he's made in Honkai Star Rail, and even the content that he's kind of made in Wuthering Waves, the guy obviously thinks a lot about these gacha games and takes his content very seriously. He does very, very good content. So I don't understand why he has to be the smartest guy in the room. And instead of using, I forgot what they call it when you use, I think it's like layman's. Essentially, it's like one of the things that I've learned is I know a lot of words. However, there are words that I don't use because it's not a common word that normal people understand. And that's not to say that I'm smarter than the average guy or the most pompous guy in the room. It's just, if I wasn't smart, I would use that big word. The big words don't help you because you can know big words, a lot of big words. But if you can't communicate that big word to somebody else, what's the purpose of the big word? It's useless. It's immediately useless at that point. So your ability to communicate large language or difficult language into simple terms is what really makes you smart when it comes to like language and things like that. And fighting game terminology 1000% does not help that.
Hey, I'm Io. I do a lot of fighting game stuff, or rather, I relate a lot of gacha things to fighting games because I have a fighting game background, playing fighting games in a competitive level, if you will, right? Now let me show you what I'm.
So, right there, where he said he does a lot of fighting game stuff in his background, so he relates a lot of fighting game stuff into gacha games. If his videos were all geared towards fighting game players that play gacha games, this would make entire sense. Because the people that use that terminology will be able to use that terminology and relate it to the new game that they're transitioning to. However, his channel is a gacha game channel. He's not talking to fighting game viewers whatsoever. If Sajam was using this terminology and referring it to the gacha game that he's playing, ZZZ, which he wouldn't, mind you, but if he was, it would make infinite more sense than Io here. Let's continue a little bit more to see if there's anything else that I can point out directly, but this in itself is what we're going to be talking about today. But let's see.
I'm going to show you is called Kara.
Oh, he said the word. So let us try to understand what it is that he calls. Yes, this is perfect or exact reason why I cut off the video. I'm remembering it like it's clear as day. So let's see what he calls card canceling, and then I will explain it to you guys afterwards. Okay, let's watch.
ARA space canceling. Okay, this is a term in fighting games which basically means you were.
Says the ability to very quickly cancel a move until another move before the first move completes its startup. Normally, in order to cancel a move, you have to make contact with your opponent, but Kara bypasses this restriction and cancels immediately, often before you even see the first move on the screen at all. Now notice he doesn't include this second part in his highlight. This second part is extremely important. This technique is used for the entirety of its definition, not the very first two sentences at all. Okay, let's continue.
Now I'm going to show you what caught my eye with GBG, his combo clip that I showed you in the beginning of this video. Now I'm going to show you what's actually happening. You saw how many times I canceled 4 different launchers. Guys, this is very important.
Just trying to make sure I heard his entire explanation of the Kara cancel out. Now, I want to preface, he is not entirely wrong about what he's saying when it comes to the Kara cancel. He is pretty much kind of correct. There's this wonderful tool that we have called the Fighting Game Glossary. I think I brought it up on stream before once in order to talk about it in filament.net. Shout outs to in Phil. The reason why this is so amazing is because you have video evidence of the thing that it is talking about. So this is the exact definition, funny enough, that this dude's use. If you notice, it's from the Fighting Game Glossary, because you can even see here, lit empty cancel. Okay, so what was I stressing about the first 2 lines? Okay, so the ability to quickly cancel a move into another move before the first move complete startup. Normally, in order to cancel a move, you will have to make contact with their opponent. But a Kara cancel bypasses that restriction and it cancels immediately, often before you even see the move on the screen at all. The reason you want to do this is added range. I want you to keep this in mind. The reason you want to do this is added range. The first move is chosen specifically because it will move your character forward during its first few frames. Then if you quickly transition to the second move, it will be executed in this new position. See here, even explanation of the video. This is Fighting Game Glossary is absolutely amazing. Anytime somebody's saying a fighting game term, come here, read it, and you can understand in everything that they're fucking saying. If you ever have this in the future, somebody says a fighting game term that you don't know what it is, come to the Fighting Game Glossary. Just type in Fighting Game Glossary in Google, you will find it. Okay. Third strike, Ken's double Shoryuken combo is not possible against Ryu mid-screen without a Kara cancel. Notice how the first frame of crouching heavy kick moves Ken forward ever so slightly. The second Shoryu gets launched from the new position after a few inches forward where it normally would be. At full speed, you can't even see any part of the crouching heavy kick because it's canceled so quickly. All you see is the second Shoryu's increased range. So let's watch this one more time now that you know the explanation. See there? The first one, it missed. You can't do it. Shoryuken does not work. Now watch it work. Shoryuken, it hit because of the increased range, because you can even see Ken is in a different position from where he was a second ago. Look where Ken is standing. He's standing right slightly ahead of the word Ryu, right? Like around here is where Ken is standing. Now watch the successful one. Ken is here by the 8. He was standing slightly ahead of Ryu, and now he's over here by the 8. He's even further ahead, and Ryu's further away, obviously, because he got hit twice, right? But that is a Kara cancel. It's even more prevalent, like it's even more understandable. Well, the super big reason why it was first used was a Kara throw. Let's show you this, because this will help you understand even more. You see how Chun-Li is jerking forward? Watch this. You know, when in a fighting game, when you throw a character, you're supposed to be standing still. You don't move when you throw in most cases. Here's what he's calling a Kara cancel. Now, I don't even have to explain it to you guys why he's dumb. Kara is canceling it before it comes out, so you can get the range of the move, before it comes out. He is talking about canceling the launcher that launches the enemy into another move. Why would you use the definition of a word? First off, even if we granted him that this definition was correct, that this word was correct, no one except fighting game players understand this word. Barely, obviously, because he doesn't. And why would you use this word to a general audience when they don't know what the hell this word means? You just call it a cancel. You're canceling your launcher into another move. It's simple to understand that. An animation cancel. An attack cancel, you could even say. His terminology here is just entirely wrong. So he's using the wrong terminology for what he's talking about. And then once he's called out about using the wrong terminology for what he's talking about, he also doubles down and begins to call people that are calling him wrong stupid, and that they don't know what they're talking about.
It's easy for fighting game players to understand this. It's very difficult for gacha game players to understand and accept this.
Amanai, I'm sorry. Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored